Welcome back. As I mentioned last week, each year's Sanctuary Cove International Boating Festival is an excellent venue for the release of new products. Now, one of the products that will be released at this year's show is particularly interesting, partly because it refines an existing technology, and secondly because it is totally Australian designed and manufactured. Now, about 3 years ago, we visited Shore Process Castings at Mortdale in Sydney, and we saw the manufacture using investment casting techniques of a range of deck winches, anchor windlasses and yacht winches made by Shore Process Casting. In fact, this range of winches has made great inroads into the local market and also into the export market, and the winches are called SPARB, S-P-A-R-B. Now, at that time, Shore Process told me that they were working on the initial design and development of a water jet unit for driving ski boats and speedboats around Australia. Well, the ensuing 3 years have seen a lot of work, a lot of research and development go on, and now at the 1992 Sanctuary Cove International Boating Festival, the Shore Process Castings jet unit, which is called Ausjet, will be released. Now, one of the reasons for the long research and development and design process is because Ausjet decided that they would release two basic models onto the market. The first one is the Ausjet 600, which will accommodate from 30 to 120 horsepower, and the second one is the Ausjet 800, which will accommodate from 100 horsepower to 450 horsepower. So that means that the jet units are suitable for driving anything from small tinnies with, say, a 500cc two-stroke in front of them, all the way up to thundering monsters with big 350 cubic inch V8 Chevrolets in them. Now, there are great advantages in using a jet unit. In fact, it's often surprised me that Australians haven't accepted jet units in pleasure boats more enthusiastically. Obviously, they're very popular in New Zealand, where they're used for running rapids and giving tourists thrills, but they have great advantages. As you can see from this shot here, this boat is running along literally in around about 4 inches or 100 millimetres of water. It can do that virtually all day. It's capable of ingesting small pebbles and sand without any adverse effects to the jet unit whatsoever. And these boats offer a degree of control and precision control which really is unique in the boating world. I've never driven a boat which gives you so much feeling of command over the vessel. You can do spin-outs if you want to, and they're great fun, where you actually break the adhesion of the jet to the water and the hull actually slides across the top of the water and does a spin-out. But apart from that, they are so precise in all aspects of driving that the driver really does become part of the boat. And because there's no transmission to go through, the full power of the engine is transmitted to the water via the jet unit, giving you a tremendous degree of performance. Again, without a gearbox, you can have either neutral or reverse, because this gate, which drops down behind the jet stream, will either half and half, 50-50, the flow of water to give you neutral with a little bit of twiddling on the lever, or when it's dropped fully down, it will divert the jet stream forward to give you quite a high degree of reverse thrust. So that means the boat becomes fully manoeuvrable. Now, when you consider that there's nothing hanging down under the boat, so you can run in shallow water, when you consider the manoeuvrability and the enormous amount of performance that's delivered by jet units, they really have great appeal as a power source or as a drive source for small pleasure boats, and particularly for ski boats, where they've been popular for many years. Again, there's a safety aspect. There's no propeller, there's no rudder sticking down under the boat to injure people who may be in the water. But one of the most interesting aspects of these units is the fact that, as I said at the beginning of the segment, they are Australian designed and manufactured, and they're manufactured using a process which interests me greatly. It's called investment casting, and it's the one form of casting which is usable for virtually all metals, including stainless steel, and which gives you, straight out of the mould, a unit which is effectively not only finished but can be manufactured to incredibly fine tolerances. You can incorporate holes, slots, all kinds of contours in your casting with a bare minimum or no finishing required afterwards. And investment casting, of course, is very popular in die cast for toys and for things like that, and for small mechanical components. But it's also used for a huge range of other usages, and one of the most interesting is the impeller for this jet unit. Now, investment casting involves making an exact replica of the finished part in a non-shrink, high-density wax. This is made in a mould, and this barrel that you see being pulled apart is actually the mould for the wax impression of the impeller unit from the Ausjet. That wax impression is then tidied up, it's scraped for any flash lines are taken off, and it is made good. It is made so that the finished product will have a bare minimum of cleanup required, and it's then coated with a ceramic which is baked on. Now, this is a 4 or 5 stage process to build up a predetermined thickness of ceramic. And that ceramic is fired in an oven so that it becomes hard, and during that firing process, of course, the wax is melted out from inside. Now, that leaves a cavity inside that ceramic which is exactly the shape and size and is dimensionally accurate of the part that is to be made. That is then poured with stainless steel or bronze or whatever other metal is required. In this case, it is of course a marine grade stainless steel. The ceramic is broken away from the outside, and you have what amounts to a totally finished part which is dimensionally accurate to extremely fine tolerances. In the case of the outer casing for the jet, they're cast in marine grade aluminium, and of course all the bearing surfaces, etc. are already in there. Now, it may require reaming to finally finish the actual bearing surface areas, but that's all the machining that is required. Now, over many years and a huge number of jobs, Shaw Process Casting are famous for the manufacture of golf club heads, for instance. Shaw Process have refined this so that they're able to make products which are extremely high quality. They have a marvellous finished appearance. In some cases they are sand or shot blasted or glass bead blasted or peened to give them a particular surface appearance. They present extremely well. They're extremely precise dimensionally. They have a long working life, and in the case of the Ausjet, they are remarkably efficient. Now, this is an alternative power source, particularly in those lower horsepower sizes. Very interesting that they should build a jet for horsepowers down to around about 30. That gets you into the sort of jet ski power unit range and enables people who build small aluminium or fiberglass boats to incorporate those extremely reliable and powerful drive units into their vessels. So it is a new era for marine drive technology in Australia. Ausjet's 600 and 800 series boat jet drive units. We'll be back right after this break.